I had a fun session today. I tested 3 new papers. Welcome back, friends. So I really am still looking for that perfect rice paper, a thin rice paper, and also other kinds of papers. So I recently had a class at a local community here in South Florida, and I've been using the medical exam paper. It's very tedious, and for beginners, I think it's a little bit trying. And we've been using copy paper, which they don't love either. So I was also on the path of looking for a decent, a paper that really picks up like every time, really does a good job, and isn't too pricey, too ridiculously expensive. And I did find 2 good examples of that we're going to see today. And I did find a rice paper that is the weight that I like, that I was able to get on Amazon. I did have to wait for it to come. It didn't come in 2 days. It was coming from California. It is a beautiful paper. Anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so today I have 3 kinds of paper that I'm kind of testing out. I bought these on Amazon. These are kind of cream color. Now this is a white paper, and if you see it next to that, it's a creamier color. This one, I find it really hard to figure out which side is smooth. Sometimes I can feel it and sometimes I can't. But see the difference in the color? I hope that shows on camera. So if you really like a pure white, this is maybe not the paper for you, but it is a printmaking paper, and it's acid free. So I think this might be a good paper for the gel plate. Not really sure. I never saw anybody use it. This other paper I found it on Amazon. I bought it accidentally. I think it's supposed to be a bamboo paper. Okay, so Amazon's description says that it's a cold pressed paper, and it's bamboo. It's for mixed media. They claim that it is acid free. It does not say that on the package, but they claim that it is acid free, and it is 8.5 by 11 sheets. So this other paper that I bought came in this beautiful tube. It's a beautiful rice paper, and it is more, it's not as thin as some of the other papers that I tested a couple of months ago that I hate because they just disintegrate on the plate. But it's also a lot thinner than the Yasutomo paper. So I'm really hoping that I'm going to like this paper. The only thing I don't like about it is that it comes on a roll and I have to cut the sheets. But for today's, I cut a few sheets. I'm going to use all of these 3 different papers and just play today. We're going to start with, this is the UCreate. It's called UCreate Printmaking paper in this creamy color. Let me see if I can figure out which is the smooth side and lay them on my desk so that I know that I got it right. Oh, and you know what? I'm using my 9 by 12 today, and this is gonna just make it. This one is gonna be too small because it's 8.5 by 11, but that's okay. And this one is a 9 by 12 paper, so it just fits my plate. So I found this, Joann's is going out of business, and they had a big sale, and I had a class this week, so I bought a big sheet of this. It was really big, and I cut it up into smaller pieces. And this is meant for like needlework, or maybe even a rug. I'm not really sure, but it's got the wider holes, so I thought it would make a really good impression on the plate. I'll look for a link in Amazon to see, but if you have a Joann's near you going out of business, they have these and they're a good price. So this is one. These are some of my masks that I'm going to use today, and 2 stencils. I haven't used this one in a while, so I thought I would you know, mix that up with, you know, some of these masks. We're just going to play. I also have a new color. This is called Mars Violet. It looks kind of like like almost brown. Okay, and I also have some Payne's Gray. And I have the quinacridone purple, quinacridone red, and these two, this is a blue-green mixed with white and a yellow-green. These are all Nova color, but for my final pickups, I'm probably going to use Titan Buff. It's a brand new bottle. I decided this is really my favorite, so I'm just going to go for the more expensive golden. My favorite paint to use on the plate is golden. It's just, I go through so much paint, and it's just gotten so expensive. I just can't do it anymore. So I think I'm going to start with a multiple layer with a single pull at the end. Let's start with something like that. So when I like to do these multiple layers with a single pull, I always like to start with a dark color, because what's on the bottom is going to be on the top after I pull the print. So my favorite color these days is Payne's Gray. It has definitely replaced my black. And so we're going to go for the ghost here, and I'm going to pick this up with Deli. So we are going to test the new papers, but in the meantime I'm going to be using the Deli in between so that I'm left with a ghost. And we got a nice clean pull. So my next layer is going to be this blue-green color that's mixed with white a little bit. It's kind of like a teal. And I'm adding just a little bit of Indian yellow to mix in with it. So one of these paints is very opaque and the other one is very transparent. So I'm kind of swirling around to give them a little mix to get a more green color. But we're going to still see some of that teal. So now I'm switching to another mask. I'm going to use two masks. Or one's a stencil and one's a mask. And again, we're going to use deli paper. So now that first Payne's Gray layer, when we pick up this green, it's going to pull some of that as well. It makes really interesting paper. It didn't get all of it, so I'm going to pick up again because I want to get a decent clear background. Now look how beautiful that is. And now I have a pretty decent ghost that has both those layers. So now I'm putting down some Indian yellow. I have to wait for that to dry. And I'm going to add some texture. And now after this dries, we're going to pick up with a very neutral color. But while we're waiting for that to dry, I just want to mention that this is the deli paper that I've been using in between. And it really does go completely transparent when you use it in collage. So I love it. Like, look at some of these bonus papers. They are going to be so much fun to collage with. Okay, so now that we're dry, I'm laying down some Titan Buff. I'm using the golden Titan Buff. What you really need to understand is this layer is going to pick up all of those layers underneath. So I had 3 layers underneath, and I'm going a little heavy with the Titan Buff so that normally I wouldn't put quite as much paint, but I want to make sure that it really gets the entire thing. Like I said, my paper is just making it from edge to edge. And I'm going to leave this to dry for 2 full minutes. And I have a feeling this was the smooth side. This feels smoother now. If this is the smooth side, then the other side is not going to, it's going to look a little grainy. It's the only thing I don't like about this paper is I cannot tell the smooth side from the rough side. Yeah, I have a feeling I put it rough side down. Oh well. Oh, didn't set my timer. So I'm going to set my timer now for about 1.5 minutes and I'll come back. So let's pick this up now and see. Oh. Yes. Okay, so you could see this was my first layer, this Payne's Gray, which almost looks black now. You can still see it's a bit blue. I think if I had had reds underneath it, it would have looked more black. Then our second layer was a combo of this blue-green and this Indian yellow. I kind of mixed them together. So that's why you see some of this really like warm green in here. And then you see some more of the blue-green, like, because it didn't quite mix. That was the second layer where we used the 2 stencils. You know, this was one of them, and this mask was the other. Oops. This mask was the other. And then again, we went with the ghost. We picked up with the deli paper, left us with the ghost, and then I used the texture. I used the square texture and picked up some of that blue, and that almost looks green in some areas. Yeah, so I used this and then added a yellow layer. Or did I do this with the, yeah, I don't even remember. I think I did a yellow layer with this. Not sure. Anyway, final layer was the Titan Buff. This paint really picks up all the layers, but I think this paper did a great job of picking it up. I don't know that I would like to collage with this, but I think if you, it does feel nice. It has a nice, and I don't even think I used the right side, so maybe it doesn't really matter. It looks good. I think the print came out really well. So maybe on the next one, I will try the other paper. And maybe we'll do the same thing with the layers. Maybe we'll just switch it up a little bit. Let's try this new color. I don't know how dark it's going to be. I don't know if it's transparent or not transparent. Yeah, it's very brown. I'm not a brown person. But I might. You never know. It might mix well with the other paints. Okay, I'm going to speed it up slightly and do voiceover. Since we're doing basically the same thing, but maybe with slightly different stencils and different colors, but we're going to do kind of the same technique, multiple layers with a single pull, and then we're going to use the other paper, which was that bamboo paper, and we're going to see how well that one picks up. And again, I'm using deli paper in between to leave me with a good ghost. Okay, so now I'm going to use this quinacridone purple. I'm really mixing this up in terms of color. These are not colors I usually gravitate to. I love this quinacridone red that I just picked up. I'm going to mix that in with the purple a little bit. Kind of a rough mix. And I'm going to use the same stencils, but I'm going to flip-flop them. And again, I'm going to pick up with the deli paper to leave me a ghost. Now those two colors were very, very close in value. And they're both transparent. So I may have lost the other color. We shall see, but it doesn't matter. I think it's going to be a subtle thing. It's going to be there, but very subtle, which is fine because, you know, that adds just a little added interest. And like I said, I'm not a brown person. So I'm shaking up that bottle just to make sure, because it's been sitting on the shelf for a while. This is yellow oxide. This is another color I hardly ever use. I got a little heavy-handed with the little squirt there. So I think I have way too much paint on the plate. And I'm just going to add some texture. And I'm also going to try using this right down the middle. This is just a silicone candy confectioner thing. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll see. So I'm also going to, you know, that the texture at the bottom of that glass makes interesting circles. So I'm just adding some additional texture. So I'm doing the same kind of techniques. I'm just, you know, changing it up a bit. I'm just going to take a peek because, like I said, that first layer is what's on top. And here we are, we're looking at this top thing, and we think that that's what we're going to get. No. Beginners always think that what they're seeing on the top is what they're going to get. I'm loving the imprint on this silicone. I wish I had paper that looked like that. I wish there was a way to transfer that. If there is, let me know. So that silicone thing that I just put aside had this kind of yellow-green color on it before I used it to pick up these yellow ochre colors and the red. And it really inspired me to maybe pick up with this color. Have it show through those little grid marks and the circle marks and all of that. I don't know how much we're going to see, but anyway, that's what the reason was that I did. Now this paper is the rice paper. I'm really excited about the rice papers. I'm really hoping that that this paper really works well. So I'm going to let the paint dry onto this paper for about 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back and pick it up. Okay, so it's almost 2 minutes, and it still feels a bit wet. You could see, like, because this paper's so thin, you could see how wet it looks. But I'm still going to pick up at the 2-minute mark, which is actually a little more than 2 minutes because I didn't, you know, maybe 20, 30 seconds went by before I even set the timer. An Apple Watch really comes in handy when you're jelly printing and you want to time things. I'm so impatient that if I just didn't put a timer, I would probably have pulled it already. All right, let's just see. So because my paper is almost the same size as the plate, I'm losing the edges. Maybe this paper is too thin. Maybe it's better for regular layering. What I mean by regular layering is 1 layer at a time. Oh, it's not bad. But I love the thinness of this paper. So I think, you know, 1 layer at a time. I did lose some paper right there, right here. It's collage paper. I'm not worried about it. not thrilled about this mustardy color. I used yellow oxide. It was there. I picked it up. I'm trying to, you know, use different colors, use up some of my paint. But then will I ever collage with this? I don't know. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so that was a good test for that paper. Let us test this paper now. Again, it's a creamy paper. Kind of feels the same on both sides. I don't know, one side, this side feels slightly thin, smoother than the other, so I'm going to use that side. It's really hard. You have to have really good fingers to really tell the difference. I left some paint on the plate, but that's okay. All right, so now we're going to do one layer at a time. No, maybe we'll stick with the multi-layers just so we're really testing the paper. I might try something like this, and then a little bit of Payne's Gray on this side. Kind of have a two-tone blue, light blue, and then this dark. I have another stencil that I wanted to try. That's this one. And then I'm going to pair it with the other one that I was using. So I hope this isn't too repetitive, but this is the process that I do. Deli paper to leave me a ghost. And then, of course, I love the deli papers. And sometimes I overlay them. I put multiple layers on the deli paper, leaving some of it transparent. But I just love the shapes that I get on the deli, but I also love the ghost. And that's really what I'm going for when I'm trying to pick up. So I need to make sure that this dries really well before I put the next layer down, which is going to be a quinacridone red. Okay. All right, so I'm doing a mixture here. Since the first layer was two colors, I'm going to try to do two colors here. Maybe do a little blending in the middle. So in this layer, we're going to use different stencils and a mask. Again, it's going to leave me with a ghost, but we are, in those openings, we are also going to be picking up that bottom layer, that very first layer. And so that makes that deli paper very interesting. And look at this fabulous ghost. Now we have a two-layered ghost. And this is my, my favorite way to print, because when you get that two-layered ghost, it's very unexpected what's going on here. Like it cannot be planned. And I love how that mask on the left has that finer pattern inside of it. It's absolutely my favorite thing to do. But anyway, so now we're going to pick up with mostly Titan Buff, but we're mixing in a little bit of the Indian Yellow. But again, a very rough mix. I'm not trying to blend that too well. I want it to have little Indian Yellow blobs. And now we're going to pick this one up with that bamboo paper. While it's still wet, I don't know why I'm moving so slow here. So I'm just using this other piece of paper that I had laying on the desk just to keep my hands from getting dirty. And plus it makes that deli paper more interesting for collage. Like, why not? Since I have the big plate out, what I usually like to do is take a piece of paper that's an odd size. These are odd sizes that I cut from that that rice paper, and we can just patchwork them. So we're going to do that next. I just want to see how good this paper pulls. And I didn't time it, but let's just, I don't think I need to time it. Wow. It picks up really well. Like, this was the best one yet. So this paper, this whatever it's supposed to be, I think it's like, it's not a rice paper, but I think it's like a, on Amazon, I think it says it's like a bamboo paper. Picks up really, really well. This is fabulous. You could see where I was, it picked up almost everything, just this one little corner. But yeah. And I love how I left. This time I didn't try to pick up and get a clean ghost. I went for the dirty ghost. Sometimes you have to go for the dirty ghost. Now, quinacridone and the Payne's Gray, you could see, or any kind of red, if you use CAD red, the Payne's Gray is going to go almost black. This was manganese blue on this side. I love what it does with the yellow green. These two are a really good combination. Or yellow green and cerulean blue, like that kind of a blue. So if you're looking for color inspiration ideas, you can try that. Indian yellow is quickly becoming one of my favorites, but I always like it to be like full strength Indian yellow, and then rough mix it with like white, or in this case titanium, tight buff. And I like this paper. I really like this paper. So, all right, another paper that we like. That's good. Now let's try some patchworking, since we've got some interesting stuff on the plate. Let's just mix up some colors. Let's just get a little bit, get some paint down. I haven't used any of those other masks that I said I was going to use, so maybe we'll use them now. I'm just kind of getting color down on the plate, like, and all right, so let's lay down some stencils. I really mean masks. Anyway, we're just going to, like I say, patchwork this. So I have these like scraps, and I'm just going to randomly place them on the plate. We're going to be overlaying and overlaying and overlaying. And I want to see how this rice paper, you know, how it works doing this. So patchworking can be a lot of fun because it's very unexpected. You just keep layering and then, you know, changing their colors and over printing things that are very transparent, and the results can be absolutely beautiful. So I had printed the other one on the wrong side of the paper, so that's why I'm now switching to the other side. And I'm just going to keep overlaying each one of these, but only partially, as you can see. And now I even got that beautiful edge. Really beautiful. Love, love, love this one. I'm probably going to ruin it. I'm probably going to overlay it, but it's still, each layer adds a little bit more interest and makes it a little bit more beautiful. So I'm also trying to add some slightly darker colors so that we get a little bit more depth. And now we're going to add some texture. And lay down some more masks. You know, when you have things in different directions now and you have different colors and you're overlaying, I love that purple. It's adding some contrast without being, you know, too contrasty. And that green with that quinacridone purple is absolutely gorgeous. It's like a yellow green. Tight and buff. So I'm not so sure this was a good idea, but you know, this is all part of experimenting, especially, you know, sometimes when I patchwork, I get beautiful results and other times I don't. So, but all in the same session. And it's okay because the beautiful ones are, you know, the winners. Not every print you're going to make is going to be a winner. And sometimes the duds are still fabulous collage paper. So some of this I really love what I'm getting. I'm getting this like neutral, but then I think I'm going too far sometimes with it. I have a couple of papers in the end that they were just beautiful. And there were a couple that I kind of ruined, like that one right there. I ruined it. But then you have this like, you know, ghost that's still on the plate. And it can just make for a really dreamy paper. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce those other stencils back. Do some more overlaying. So since I ruined that other one, I'm going to try to salvage it. That one is really starting to look nice. So in this next segment, I'm just going to keep going, play some music, and then we'll review at the end. All right, so this was just the deli paper that I did some cleanup of the plate. Still is a mess. This one's not so great, but I think for some parts of it might be good in a collage. And I do like this thin paper to collage with. This has a lot of beautiful, subtle things going on. I especially like this side. This right here. There's a lot of parts of this. I even love this part down here. It's a shame I covered it up because this side was all about that. I also like that side too, you know. I do really like this rice paper. Now this one has amazing areas. I love this whole area right here. That darkness is giving me the kind of contrast that I like. So it's sometimes really necessary to make a paper a little better, to have some contrast like that. Where this is a little too much, you know, mid-tone, mid-range, where this has a lot of nice contrast. So this paper is better, in my eyes anyway. This one, like I said, I'm going to save. I might try to do the rubber bands on top of this and make as a mask. And if you haven't seen that video, I will link it up in the corner so that you could go check it out. Love rubber bands. They do amazing things on the plate. All right, so then quick review. I put down some Payne's Gray. Made this great deli paper. Nice transparent paper, as you can see. Come in handy. This transparent paper too. It even has that blue stripe back there. I like that. And you see some of this stuff in here. You know, I can even cut these out, make these into leaves. And then, of course, the additional bonus paper that has these beautiful fine lines here. Just love that. And then it made this fabulous paper. This was the UCreate printmaking paper. It is exactly, I think, 9 by 12. And it printed really well. I can't tell whether I printed on the right side or not, but either way, it printed really well. Got a really good pickup. And then I experimented with the Mars Violet, and I did get this paper. Not so great. I have some, you know, when I used it to clean up other stuff, interesting things happened, and I might be able to use that. But I like the quinacridone. I think this is the quinacridone purple mixed with the magenta, with the red. We got this beautiful, which led to this. Oh my goodness, this is on that other 8.5 by 11 paper, which is perfect for, you know, an 8 by 10 plate if you're using an 8 by 10. I'll have to see if this paper also comes in a 9 by 12 or larger. And really happy with the way this came out color-wise. This is more me. With this is the one that had the Mars Violet, which almost blends in with the quinacridone red. Then I did the yellow oxide and the yellow green, which we didn't see enough of the yellow green. The circles that I made and all that. It didn't really translate. This was Payne's Gray on this side, manganese blue on that, and that led to this paper and this paper. A little unorganized here. Sorry about that. But I got 3. Let's get these papers out of here. These are the bonus papers. I use these more than I use the other ones. But these are this is my favorite. I like the strongness of this side and the more subtle on this side. I like that composition. I wasn't going for composition, but I do like this. This one, I think we got a nice strong Payne's Gray. We don't, you know, we lost some of it here, but yeah, I like this one a lot. I think the checkerboard maybe I shouldn't have done overall. Maybe I should have just done it in sections. It kind of took over this print. That's one thing to consider when you're laying down a texture like that. Don't do it overall, just maybe do it in a section, like a third of it or something. Just kind of block it off. And this one, it was a good test for the paper. The paper we did lose some of the paper. So I think this rice paper is good for one layer at a time and not multi-layer pull. But these other two do a great job. And if you're registering and everything and you really want a good print, well, this is nice paper, as well as that UCreate Printmaker's paper. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you were in the market for a thin rice paper, I did the research for you. It took me months, but I will link everything below. Don't forget to create, inspire, and share, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.